Donald Glover, the multifaceted artist renowned worldwide for his sharp wit, innovative music and captivating performances, has always been a figure who pushes boundaries in his creative endeavors. Known equally for his roles in television and film as for his alter ego Childish Gambino, Glover has built a legacy that spans genres and mediums, from the introspective storytelling in his albums to the cultural commentary embedded in his hit tracks. Yet, behind the glamour and the accolades, including 5 Grammy Awards, lies a deeply human story of vulnerability, resilience, and profound self-reflection. Recently, during an electrifying performance at Tyler the Creator's Camp Flog Gnaw music festival held at the iconic Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, Glover chose to peel back the layers of his public persona. In a moment that felt both intimate and cathartic, he addressed the crowd not just as an entertainer, but as a survivor who had stared down the abyss of his own mortality. This revelation was no mere anecdote. It was a detailed recounting of the multiple health scares that had upended his life over the past year, forcing him to confront the fragility of existence and ultimately reshaping his approach to art, family, and legacy. The evening at Camp Flog Gnaw was alive with the pulsating energy of a diverse crowd, drawn together by the promise of boundary-breaking music and unfiltered expression. As Glover took the stage, the air was thick with anticipation. His set, a masterful blend of old favorites and new explorations, had the audience in a trance, swaying to rhythms that echoed his evolution from rapper to cultural provocateur. But midway through, as the lights dimmed slightly and the beats softened, Glover paused. He stepped forward, microphone in hand, his voice steady yet laced with an undercurrent of raw emotion. "I need to share something with you all," he began, his words cutting through the night like a confessional whisper amplified for thousands. What followed was a narrative so personal that it transformed the concert into something akin to a communal therapy session, where one man's brush with death became a mirror for everyone's unspoken fears. It started, Glover explained, with what seemed like an innocuous symptom, a headache so severe it blurred the edges of his vision. On that fateful day in Louisiana, during the height of his ambitious The New World Tour, he had pushed through the discomfort, chalking it up to the relentless pace of touring life. The stage lights, the adoring fans, the adrenaline of performance, these were his lifelines, and admitting weakness felt like betrayal. "I couldn't really see well," he admitted to the crowd, his voice dropping to a near whisper that forced everyone to lean in. The show went on, a testament to his unyielding professionalism, but the pain lingered like a shadow, refusing to dissipate with the applause. By the time the tour rolled into Houston, the headache had escalated into a full-blown crisis. Glover, ever the pragmatist, sought medical attention, expecting perhaps a prescription for rest or a quick fix. Instead, the diagnosis landed like a thunderclap. He had suffered a stroke. The word hung in the air during his festival recounting, evoking gasps from the audience who remembered the tour's abrupt halt. A stroke, at his age, in the prime of his career, seemed an impossibility, yet there it was, a stark reminder that health doesn't discriminate based on fame or fortune. The emotional toll of that revelation was immediate and crushing. Glover described the moment in the hospital, surrounded by beeping machines and sterile white walls, as one of profound isolation. "I felt like I was letting everybody down," he confessed, his eyes scanning the sea of faces before him, many of whom had traveled far to see him reclaim his spotlight. The tour, billed as his final outing under the Childish Gambino name, was more than a series of concerts. It was a swan song, a celebratory farewell to an identity that had defined him for over a decade. Canceling the remaining dates meant not just logistical chaos, refunds, rescheduling, disappointed promoters, but a deeper sense of failure. Fans who had saved for tickets, crew members who depended on the gigs, and even his own creative team, all were collateral in this unforeseen derailment. Glover's voice cracked slightly as he recounted the guilt, painting a vivid picture of late-night calls to his team, apologies laced with exhaustion, and the quiet dread of what this meant for his future. Was this the end of Gambino? Or worse, the end of Donald Glover altogether? In that vulnerability, he humanized himself, bridging the gap between idol and everyman, showing that even icons grapple with the weight of unmet promises. But the stroke was merely the opening act in a cascade of medical misfortunes that would test Glover's spirit like never before. As he delved deeper into his story on stage, the festival-goers hung on every word, the atmosphere shifting from celebratory to solemnly attentive. Weeks after the stroke, while still reeling from the implications, therapy sessions, lifestyle audits, the fear of recurrence, Glover faced another blow, a broken foot. It happened during a moment of normalcy, a slip that could have been comedic in another context but instead compounded his fragility. Mobility impaired, he was confined, his world shrinking to doctors' visits and cautious steps. The injury, though seemingly minor, disrupted the fragile rhythm he was trying to rebuild, turning simple tasks into Herculean efforts. Glover likened it to a cruel cosmic joke, where one vulnerability exposed another, peeling back the armor he had worn for years. Yet, it was this very foot fracture that led to the next discovery, one that would alter his understanding of his own body irrevocably. During a routine follow-up, scans revealed something far more sinister: a hole in his heart. The term, clinical and detached, belied the terror it evoked. For Glover, it was a literal and metaphorical puncture, a breach in the organ that had fueled his passion, his beats, his unapologetic drive. The condition, known medically as an atrial septal defect, had likely gone undetected for years, a silent saboteur lurking beneath his high-energy lifestyle. The diagnosis prompted urgent intervention: surgery to repair the defect, a procedure that carried its own risks and recoveries. Glover described the operating room in vivid detail during his speech: the cold bite of anesthesia, the trust he placed in strangers with scalpels, and the foggy awakening to a chest bandaged and a future uncertain. Recovery was no linear path. It was a labyrinth of pain meds, physical therapy, and the psychological grind of dependency. "They say everybody has two lives," he quoted to the crowd, drawing from a philosophy that resonated deeply in his moment of reckoning, "and the second one starts when you realize you only have one." This wasn't just a platitude, it was his mantra, forged in the fire of operating tables and midnight anxieties. Complications arose almost immediately post-surgery, necessitating a second procedure. A cruel encore that left Glover questioning the fairness of it all. The additional operation addressed lingering issues from the first, but it drained him further, physically and emotionally. He spoke of the isolation in those months,